Welcome to the Runna Podcast. I'm Ben, head coach.
And I'm Anya, international marathon runner. And we're proud to be the #1 rated running coaching service worldwide.
We'll be having truly insightful conversation with truly inspirational guests, as well as bringing you tips and tricks for runners of all abilities.
Today on the podcast, we chatted to Dom Scott, 2-time Olympian and one of the fastest endurance runners in South Africa. In this episode, we're diving into how to get faster over the shorter distances and why that matters if you want to progress to longer distances like the marathon. From track to road, Dom's done it all. From a 5K PB of sub 15 minutes to 31 minutes in the 10K to a 67 half marathon and 2:27 in the marathon. This is what it really takes to be an elite runner. You're going to love listening to this episode.
Hey Dom, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me on your podcast. I feel really privileged and excited to welcome you guys in my hometown of Boulder.
Well, thank you very much for having us, and we're excited to go for a 10K out on Monday. But we love to start off at the beginning. And what is it that got you into running back on day one?
Well, looking back at it, I'm not really sure if I had a choice. I think it was like always destined that I was going to fall into running, into the sport of running. My mom was the cross-country coach at the school I went to. So from a very early age, I was kind of just in that world. When I was in third grade, around 7 years old, I remember being really bored at a cross-country race. Friday afternoons were my mom's cross-country races. And I would go and watch the girls run, but I was super bored and just nagging my mom, asking when we could leave, when we could go home. And she said, if you're so bored, why don't you just run? Like, you can jump in with the under nines. So the following week, I put on my Herschel girls' school uniform, which was like this little pink and navy blue uniform. I filled my pockets with candy, or in South Africa, we would say sweets, and ran my first cross-country race. And I think I was very close to being last, but I had a great time eating my candy along the way. But when I finished, I was given a finisher's token, and it had like a number on it. And obviously it was a very high number. And I looked at this number and I was like, wait, I want to see how fast I can go and how low of a number I can get. So yeah, it really all started from then and have been running ever since.
I think that's so interesting that your mom was obviously so into it, but like never pushed you into it. Do you think like finding your own way in running like has meant that you've stayed in it longer? And did that relationship change? Like, did your mum start to then push you once you realized that you really loved it?
Yeah, absolutely. I've been so lucky. My parents have never pushed me. They've been my #1 supporters. They've always been there for me, but they've never pushed me. My mom got given really good advice when I was very young, and that was let Dom play as long as she wants. So I did a bunch of sports until about 10th grade was only when I started to like specialize or focus in running. But up until then, I was playing in South Africa, netball and field hockey in the winter. And in the summer, I was doing like swimming and water polo and tennis. And I just loved being active. Like PE was my favorite subject in school. I just wanted to be playing with my friends. And I think that definitely has helped, or is one of the reasons why this is my 10th year running professionally and probably like 2 decades of running at a high level.
And so your mum was the coach at school. Was she a accomplished runner in her own time as well?
Yeah, so my mom was a very good ultra marathon runner in South Africa. I'm not sure if you guys have heard of the Comrades Marathon and the Two Oceans. My mom placed top 10 3 times at the Comrades Marathon, which is a pretty big deal. You get a gold medal if you're top 10. So yes, she definitely was a good runner in her own right. She never ran on the track though. And my dad was just a very sporty guy, but he's also run, oh my goodness, like I'm probably like gonna underestimate this, but he's run like at least 20 marathons. I think also just growing up in South Africa, running is like in the culture, everyone's mom and dad has either run Two Oceans or runs in the local running club. Like just everyone runs, which is so cool, such a healthy, active lifestyle. So my parents were, a part of that.
I think, when I've been to South Africa, like the way everyone seems to ultra train for starters, like they don't really train on the track. And I think their attitude towards running is so interesting. Like it's never that structured, and it's like they just go out on these crazy runs and it's not flat. And they just like go around Table Mountain and go up the coast. And then they're just so fit and fast, like off the back of like kind of more relaxed training.
Yeah.
I don't know. So you took an unconventional path, like not following your parents, to more like track racing. Was that through school or like, how did you get into that?
Yeah, so just being a sporty kid, obviously I loved watching the Olympics every 4 years, and I wanted to be one of those athletes. I wanted to be an Olympian. I wanted to represent my country on the world's biggest stage, but I didn't really know in what sport. It was only later around like 8th grade when I realized I'm good at all these other sports, but really like what allows me to be good at field hockey is because I'm a fast runner. So I'm the girl running on the wing, getting the ball all the time before it goes outfield. And even in swimming, like I was had the best endurance, you know? So it was kind of through that I realized I think running is the sport that's going to get me the furthest and the closest to possibly being an Olympian and representing South Africa. Yeah, but growing up in South Africa, track and athletics is at least it wasn't very big when I was younger. So I actually grew up watching and being, and my idols were actually a lot of your guys' runnings, like Paula Radcliffe and Kelly Holmes. Like those were the people that I was looking up to. And they were my idols. But my school, the school that I went to in primary school, Herschel, they actually didn't even have track and field as a sport, which was very common for schools in South Africa. So when I was in 9th grade, I decided to take the leap, follow my heart, follow this dream of wanting to be an Olympian. And I moved to boarding school in Stellenbosch. Have you guys heard of Stellenbosch? Yeah. And I went to the only English-speaking girls' school out there, which was Rhenish. So from grade 9 to matric. This is so fun using South African terms. You guys know what I'm talking about. Grade 9 through matric, I was a boarder out at Rhenish so that I could actually do track and field.
I think it's similar, I think in South Africa to London. Obviously, you go on to like joining a US college team, but like the setup is so good in the US, and there's like just like no teams in South Africa, and I think less in London. Like they're getting there, they're coming, but I feel like you must have had to go to Stellenbosch to have that like community around you, and to then see other people better than you, and I think. Did that help your training? Yeah,
for sure. There was a group out there. Johan Fourie was my coach. He had run the South African record in the 1500 when he was racing elite and had represented South Africa many times. And he had an awesome group of probably at the time around like 30 kids around my age that were, running anything from like the 400 to the 3K. And so, having that group of athletes, he called us the dog squad, allowed me to enjoy running, learn about the sport, grow in the sport, and get to the level where I could, or where I was fast enough and good enough to earn a scholarship to the US.
It's a big commitment then to move from South Africa all the way to America and I guess put all of your chips on your running. Did that change the way that you loved it? Did it put more pressure on your running training?
It's so wild looking back at it now as a 32-year-old. I'm, now wiser, I guess, and maybe a little bit more risk adverse now. You know the risks of things. And I'm like, wow, that was really brave of me as an 18-year-old to pack up my life, which was just clothing at the time. But all I took was, 2 big suitcases and this dream of mine and moved to Arkansas. Didn't even know Arkansas was a place until I got approached by the coach there. Arkansas in the middle of the US, didn't know anyone there. Obviously didn't have any friends or family. And I just had this dream that, I wanted to be one of the best runners in the world. Definitely crazy. but it was the best decision I ever made. And it's given me so many opportunities.
And was it always plain sailing? Like, did it all go well? Any injuries, or how did it go in those first few years?
No, I mean, yeah, it did not go smoothly or perfectly. I think one of the best things I did for myself was there were a lot of athletes from either my school or just friends in South Africa that did go to the US on scholarships, either for like tennis or water polo, those type of sports. And most of them didn't last very long. Like most of them didn't even last a year because you're just so far away from home. You know, back in the day, you didn't even have FaceTime. It was, it was Skype. The time difference was so big. And yeah, you're in a different country, on a different continent. Everything is different. And so I told myself I had to give it a year. And I think that was like the best kind of like rule I made for myself, because that first year was really tough. And I think it would have been really easy to kind of like give in or throw in the towel that first year. And I know my parents would have welcomed me home with open arms, because obviously they missed me. But after that first year, obviously the homesickness got a lot better. And I kind of like found my groove in the US. But I always tell people when I came to the US, I wasn't the best athlete on the team. I wasn't even the best first year on the team. I really had to like learn and grow and kind of like grind my way to the top. I like sharing with people that at my first cross country nationals, I was 144th, and by my last one, I was third. And I had won 5 individual NCAA titles and helped my team, the Razorbacks, win their first ever national team title, both indoors and outdoors. So yeah, there was a lot of growing in those 5 years that I was at Arkansas.
Have you always been like that hardworking, like, and that driven? What do you think? Where do you think that comes from?
I mean, most probably from like my parents. My mom, like I shared, like being an ultra marathon runner and at a high level. I mean, gosh, the training that goes into that. And she had a full-time job. She was a teacher and raising 2 girls on top of that. She was obviously very disciplined and motivated herself. And I used to watch her wake up at 4 a.m., get in her training, get my sister and I off to school, teach all day herself, then coach, and then come home and cook us a meal, So I definitely learned what hard work looks like from her. And then I would say my dad has just always encouraged me to dream big. Like, it almost makes me want to cry, but like, he didn't set any limits for my sister and I. And even when I went to boarding school, he was the one driving me out on a Sunday. I was like a weekly boarder. So he would drive me out on a Sunday and come and pick me up on either a Friday or a Saturday morning. And he was always at my races watching me. They've traveled all over the world watching me. So I just feel like they have, really just always instilled this, belief in me and supported me. So I guess it was almost easy to believe as a 12-year-old that this is something that could happen.
It was so nice.
I guess with your like running, you've been quite unusual in many ways that you are across so many different distances. What did you start out focused towards, and how did you grow to be a bit more multifaceted?
Yeah, so growing up running next to my mom, she, being an ultramarathoner, was a shuffler. And I know she won't like hearing this, but she is a shuffler. And so I just adapted that running style. She's the one I learned, kind of like copied, Simon Says type of thing, like right next to her. And it allowed me to be fast enough in high school. But when I got to the States, obviously it's so competitive in the US. And my coach looked at me and he was like, "You're not fast enough. Like, that running style, I'm not going to be able to get you to where you want to be." So my first season in the States, I was running like the 5K, which is not the fun event, right, on the track. Like, you don't want to be running the 5K. You want to be running the 1500, the shorter stuff. You want to be running the distance medley relay. That's a fun one in college, where the furthest leg is a mile. So I worked on my form with my coach a lot, Lance Harder. And then actually my now husband helped me a lot as well. And it was a lot of just like, I needed to learn to pick up my knees and not be such a shuffler. My coach at Arkansas gave me the cue of like thinking like I was stepping over a drain pipe. And, you know, so there was like something underneath my feet almost that I needed to step over and actually lift my knees, use my hip flexors and lift my knee. But yeah, as a freshman or first year at Arkansas, I really wanted to be on that distance medley relay team. So I put a lot of emphasis in working on my speed and my turnover. But it was also hard because I was naturally good at the longer stuff, like tempos and long runs was what I was best at. My first outdoor race for the University of Arkansas, we were headed over to Palo Alto, California to race at Stanford University. And I was meant to run the 5K. I was pretty fit, but hadn't had a great indoor season. So I was put in a really slow heat, which was going to be a morning heat. And my coach came up to me on the plane and he was like, Dom, I'm looking over the heat sheets. You're in one of the morning heats. Like, it's not fast enough, but I don't know how I can get you into one of the evening faster races because like you don't have a fast enough PR. So he goes back and sits in his seat. And then like an hour or so later, he comes back to me and he was like, I have an idea. Let's have you run the 10K. And as like an 18, 19-year-old freshman, I was like, what? I don't want to run the 10K. That's double the distance, obviously, 25 laps. I looked at him and I was like, Coach, I didn't bring racing flats. Because back in the day, you wouldn't run a 10K in spikes.
Yeah.
And he kind of like got a little mad at me. And he was like, it's okay. We'll go to the Nike store when we land. Arkansas was sponsored by Nike. So we landed in Palo Alto, went to the Nike store, bought a pair of flats, and I ran my first 10K that next night. And I think I broke like 33 minutes or whatever it was, but it was really good for that time.
That is still really fast.
So that was at the age of 18?
Like 19, yeah.
Wow.
Without proper like 10K training.
I mean, like, yes, you know, but yeah, so I was then the 10K girl, but like I said, I did not want to be the 10K girl. So I think there's always kind of been like this natural tendency or like natural, I don't know, pull to the longer stuff, but I've kind of been like fighting it for as long as I can to be in the shorter stuff.
And why is that? Is it because you find the shorter stuff, you think it's cooler or?
Yeah, exactly that. My coach now, Joe Bosshard, laughs at me, but I just feel like there's this, he says I'm wrong. That's why he laughs at me. But I feel like there's this like portrayal that the shorter stuff is sexier. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like no one wants to run 25 laps if you can sprint 100 meters. Like that just doesn't even make sense.
I don't know. I also wonder like, because I think I'm better at the longer stuff.
Yeah.
And I just want to do the longer stuff because I'm better at it. But like what I really should be doing is doing what you're doing and working on the shorter stuff to get it faster. But do you think because like the shorter stuff becomes less natural to you and it's that like you've got to work hard for it, like you kind of have all your career. Do you think that's also why, like, because it could be so natural for you just to pick up the distance, but why it keeps bringing you back? Because it's that hard training.
Most probably, yeah. And there's something like so special about, to me at least, about the shorter stuff and like pushing your body for every second of the race, you know, compared to the marathon where it's like this more tapered effort. But obviously I have learned the hard way that the marathon is not easy. It's a very hard race. But yeah, I've always enjoyed like testing myself in the shorter stuff. And I think it's also made for a fun career. Sometimes I wonder if I would have been like better off focusing on one event, you know, if I'd just been a pure 5K runner, something like that. But I have dabbled in everything from like the mile up to the marathon.
And I guess maybe by working so much at what didn't come naturally to you, you then combine this speed that you've built with this natural endurance ability allows you to be so good at almost both ends of the spectrum and be such a strong runner.
Yeah, I think so for sure.
So
I was going to say, does that mean that you have a favorite?
right now I'd say like the half marathon is my favorite distance, just because you like doing what you're best at, like Anya said. So I think on paper, I'm probably best suited to the half marathon. Just unfortunately, there aren't too many good half marathons for elites. And they also don't, I'll just be totally honest, they don't pay nearly as well as either going to the track or doing the marathon. So you're kind of stuck with, well, for me, it's like, I know that's what I'm good at, but there are not too many fast opportunities. Plus my appearance fees and prize money at those races is a fraction of what I'd get if I went and ran a marathon.
That's so interesting. Because what did you do at the Olympics? Like, congratulations, you've been to 2 Olympic Games.
Thank you.
You didn't do the half there, did you?
They don't have a half marathon in the Olympics.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing too. It's like, it's not like, one of the main distances.
Yeah. Was it the 5K?
So, sorry, what am I saying? Rio Olympics, I just graduated from Arkansas and I ran the 10,000 that summer. And then in Tokyo, I ran the 5 and the 10.
That's crazy. Do you think you'd like to go back to the Olympics? Is that like the aim?
I would love to, but I will say, like, having been to 2, I think this is a little bit my husband, like, in my ear too. He's like, why do you need to go to 3? Running has changed so much for me, like, over my career, whereas now running on the roads, being brutally honest, a lot of it is like, I need to make money. And when you go to the Olympics, you're not making money. Maybe it helps you get an endorsement, but in my career, that hasn't really been the case. And the Olympic Games are hard races. Like, you're living, in dorm rooms, not super comfortably for at least a week before your race. You're eating food that you're not getting to like cook and prepare and not maybe what you want to be eating in the days leading up to your race. You're not able to like see your family and your coach. It's hard. Like it's not glamorous like the 12-year-old Dom expected it to be. And there are some countries that do a really good job of looking after their athletes when they're there. South Africa obviously tries as best as they can, but they're not one of those countries with huge sponsors and backing behind them that they're able to do, support their athlete on like a whole nother level. It's weird. I didn't actually qualify for the Paris Olympics. I will just clarify that. I was hoping to qualify for the marathon, but I came just short. I will give some credit to myself. It was my first year running the marathon, but my coach and I thought we'll jump into the marathon and qualify for Paris. It wasn't quite that easy. But before the race that I was trying to qualify at, my husband was like, you're getting taken so well care of at this race. Like, why you could come back here again next year in 2024, make good money, get taken very well care of. My husband would be with me every step of the way. Or I could go to the Paris Olympics, run a very hard marathon where I'm not making any prize money or appearance fees, and probably walk away disappointed. So it's weird when you get to my point in your career where the Olympics is obviously the Olympics and it's the pinnacle of our sport. But unless you're winning a medal there,
it kind of goes to what's the goal? Is the goal running the best time? Because if that's the case, you're not going to do it at the Olympics.
Right.
You're going to pick your Valencia or your Berlin and have the most perfect prep and maybe make some more money.
Right.
And then, of course, you want to get to the Olympics, but you prove that you can do that already.
Right.
And potentially you're not expecting to go and win a medal. So therefore it's why
exactly.
do
and
it
so
again?
That's my husband's question to me.
Yeah.
And what's your answer? What is the goal looking ahead?
Yeah, it depends. Running LA Olympics in America, which I now call home, would be so sweet, and having so many friends and family members out there would be amazing. And I will say a little part of me feels like I got a little gypped with my 2 Olympics being Rio and Tokyo, because at the Rio Olympics it was very special, but everyone in the village walking around that had been to the London Olympics was like, this is nothing compared to London, which obviously like Rio is a third world country. They tried their best. I thought it was amazing, but you're getting told this by other athletes. And then we're like, Tokyo is going to be amazing. Like, you know, the technology is going to be so cool there. And then obviously it was COVID and it was so depressing. Not having friends and family, not having anyone in the crowds, being isolated to the village and the athletics track stadium. So I kind of feel like I deserve a real experience, and LA would be really cool.
It would be so cool to be like, I've been to the Olympics for the 5K, a 10K, and then like the marathon from tracks to the roads. Yeah. Like that is so cool and like really individual to like be that multifaceted. And yeah, how different is training for each one? I'll ask you that one first before I go on to my next question.
Training for the 5K versus the marathon is obviously very different. You need a different set of tools to run a good 5K versus the marathon. But what my coach and I kind of learned the hard way is instead of trying to fit me into the marathon generic training for this next marathon that I do, we're going to do what makes me feel good, what gives me confidence, and kind of feed into that more. Because the 2 years that I did try the marathon in 2023 and 2024, I was doing my training partner's training, Emma Bates, who is amazing.
She's insane, yeah.
A very good marathoner. And it obviously works really well for her, but we're all very different runners, or all obviously have different strengths and weaknesses, and Emma's strengths are not my strengths. So it ended up just leaving me feeling drained and wasn't making me feel confident. It also was kind of like I wasn't even like, I was running so much mileage and so many long workouts that I had kind of lost my pop and my spring and my speed. So my coach and I have realized recently that we need to continue to just let like my strengths flourish, if that makes sense. And then just like add in some marathon work, but not just like kill me with mileage, kill me with...
It sounds almost like sticking to what you like naturally found, which is that you've got this natural endurance and then you've got to keep working on your speed rather than do loads of long mileage and then almost not work on the speed that doesn't come as naturally to you.
Exactly, yeah.
How important is like a faster 10K and a half marathon, especially like nowadays, to run a good marathon?
I think it differs for everyone, because I don't want to just say like, yes, it's so important. Going back to my training partner, Emma Bates, until this spring, her half marathon PR came from in the middle of a marathon. You know, she is just so good at the marathon distance and is so comfortable there and comfortable in the training as well. So she doesn't really need to be able to run any faster than, 5:15 miles. She can just go out and run 5:20 miles, 26 of them in a row. Like, it's crazy. That's not how I work. Like, I need to have the speed in there. And I think that helps also like with my form, keep it poppy, helps me feel fresh. So for me, I think it's really important. And that's why this spring I've gone back to what I love, like the 10K and the half marathon, doing that work. And I'm hoping that this fall we'll see the dividends of that, where I've just like got back to my natural speedier stuff.
So when did you run your first marathon?
London in 2023.
And how many have you done now?
4.
Wow. And what's your best marathon time?
In Chicago of 2023, I ran 2:27:31.
That is insane. And so this fall you want to do your next one. Would you be aiming for a PR, or what's the plan?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I feel that like as an elite, every time you line up, you're aiming for a PB, for a personal best. And it's funny because looking back at it, when I ran London, I was really disappointed with my debut. I ran 2:29:19.
In London, that's so fast.
Yeah, and I mean, like I ran the second half of the race totally solo, but I was so disappointed with it afterwards. I thought I was going to debut a lot quicker. And then a few months later, knocked 2 minutes off that. And once again, I was disappointed again because I wanted to qualify for the Paris Olympics, and I was like 40 seconds short, I think, which obviously in a marathon isn't that much. Now I think I have a whole new like respect for the marathon and understanding of it. So this next marathon I do, I want to run faster, but I also hope that I can just handle the distance better, because in all 4 marathons I've run, I've got to 18 miles really well, and then the last 6 to 8 miles just totally fallen apart, which obviously you can say maybe I didn't pace myself well enough. My coach thinks it just I wasn't strong enough for the distance yet, didn't have enough long runs under me. I think it's also really interesting coming from the track where my longest long runs were only like 18 miles, which I obviously wasn't doing every week either. I also, coming from the track and coming from like youth track, I wasn't the person that had ever just been on my feet for 3-hour easy long runs. And so I think just that getting past 20 miles is a whole new system. And we're just like still figuring that out. And then you have to add in the fueling that I don't think I've perfected yet. So yes, definitely want to run a personal best, but also I'm just hoping that my body can like handle the full distance better this time.
Do you think it's it's quite like amazing to hear you do such incredible times, and then both times describing your 2:29, 2:27 as like, oh, frustrating, not quite fast enough.
Yeah.
Like, is that the mindset you have to be as fast as you are? Like, is it the case that you need to have such ambitious goals and then not quite be satisfied, which drives you on to keep getting better and better? What allows you to be as fast as you are across so many distances today? Or do you think that there's a time that you could run in the fall and then realize that like, oh, that's exactly what you wanted and be happy? Or could you never quite believe it's fast enough?
I would say there will be a time where, I'll run that time. I'll be like, yes, this is what I wanted. This is what I knew I was capable of. I'm happy. My husband would probably say like, no, that's not true. And that I would always want and believe that I can run faster. And that's what makes me good and elite and a 2-time Olympian. So I think it's a little mix of both. I think as elites, we're never satisfied. And that's what makes us so good and driven and motivated to just keep grinding and keep working for that faster PB. But I also think as someone who's been in the sport for a while, like 10 years as a pro, I have also learned that the sport does not owe us anything, unfortunately. And there are no promises in our sport. So I do, as much as like I get disappointed after races, I don't take it too personally almost anymore. Like when I was my first couple of years racing professionally, I mean, I was last in the Diamond League, but I still ran like 15:01. I was going to bed crying, so embarrassed, so upset, having horrible thoughts about myself. And, now I look back at those races and I'm like, which this is pre-super shoes. I'm like, I ran 15:01 time trialing by myself at the back of a Diamond League. The girls were running like 14:30 and I'm running 15 flat. Like, that's actually pretty freaking good, Dom,
Right.
And I wish I'd showed myself some more grace when I was younger. So I think now, yes, I maybe am not satisfied with my results, but I'm also not like overly critical. And I'm like, okay, like this is the best that I could do today. Maybe in a different race or different conditions, I would have run slightly faster, but it is just running and it is just my job and I gave my best and that's all you can do.
Yeah.
And so in a run where you maybe finish dissatisfied or disappointed, do you still feel happy?
That's a really good question. In the past, no, I don't think so. I think if I didn't run fast, I was not happy. Now, yes. And I think the marathon has also taught me that because it is such a huge effort that when you cross that line, you can't not be proud. I mean, every marathon I've run have not been satisfied with the result, But I'm like, damn, I just ran 26.2 miles, 42 kilometers as hard as I could. Like, that was insane. Like, no one should be out there running that far. So I think I have learned the marathon has almost like taught me, like, you should be proud of yourself. You should be happy.
And do you love running week in, week out to get you to the start lines as well? Or is there points where you're resenting your running?
Right now, I can say I love running, but I haven't always been in that place.
Is there anything that's like changed that's got you to be in a place where you're loving it as you are now?
Yeah, this year I'm listening to my body a lot more than I have in the past few years. The 2 years, 2023 and 2024, when I was focused on the marathon, like I said, I wasn't doing the training that I enjoyed, made me happy. I remember I would wake up in the morning and be eating my toast before practice. And I was like, oh my goodness, this session is so scary. I don't want to go and do this. I don't want to go and do a 20-mile long run, fartlek or whatever. Like, that's just not the stuff that I enjoy. And it was after Boston last spring that I told my coach, I was like, I don't want to do another fartlek. And I'm sure in his head, he was like, for a split second, he was probably like, how can I train an elite runner and not give her a fartlek? But I think he very quickly understood fartleks are not what Dom enjoys. It's not what gives her confidence. And if she's not enjoying it out there, she's not going to gain anything from the workout. And what's the point in that? So Joe and I are really kind of like molding my training now around what makes me happy, what gives me confidence, what works well for me, and not like forcing the other stuff.
That's so important, and having that support and the understanding from your coaches and your team. Out here in Boulder, you're part of Team Boss,
yes,
which is quite like a female heavy, like empowered team. Do you think that helps? Like having other women around you to like help motivate you?
Oh my goodness, of course. Like, I mean, that's why I joined Team Boss. Like, you always want people around you that are faster than you, that have achieved things that you dream of achieving to help you get to that next level, to help show you the ropes, to help encourage you, to help you on days when maybe you aren't feeling super motivated, or just like something's going on in life and they can kind of like, carry you with them. I've been so lucky to have training partners like Emma Coburn, Emma Bates, Aisha Proutlier, Corey McGee. It's been incredible training with Team Boss the past, I think this is the 7th year Joe's been coaching me. We just came up on 7 years, which is wild. He's now the coach that I've had for the longest in my life, which just time flies. But yeah, no, definitely I would always encourage anyone to like find a group of people or even just one person that can help keep you accountable, meet you on those days that, you don't want to be out there. Maybe it's raining and you can get through it together. Maybe they're better at something that, isn't your strength and you guys can help each other. I think it's so important to have good teammates or friends that, can help you.
So you feel like there's unfinished business in the marathon. So that's like what you're focusing on. Do you think it's harder to run a sub 15 5K, like a sub 68 half, or a sub 225 marathon?
Well, apparently a sub 225 marathon, because I've done the other two, but I haven't done the marathon. But I think if you ask like anyone else in the world, they would say the other two, the sub 15-minute 5K. So I don't know why the marathon hasn't clicked yet, but I don't want to say I'm determined to make it work, because you can't want something too much. It's like, you got to like hold the bird like just gentle enough that you don't like suffocate it. And maybe that's what I was doing the last 2 years. Like I was like suffocating the bird. So yeah, it's definitely something that I want. Like I want to crush the marathon and finish it feeling like, like that is a representation of who I am as a runner. So yeah, hopefully it happens sooner rather than later.
Wow. Well, all incredible times and super, super impressive.
Let's
segue over to Steph for our coaching tip of the week.
Today's advice is on race planning. Having races in our diary gives us motivation to follow our training plan and fire in our belly. However, racing hard all the time can be detrimental to our overall performance. Try and plan your races so you have your A race at the end of your training plan, and you can have smaller, what we call B races, that will help you work towards your A race. There should be less focus on these B races. Go out and enjoy them, enjoy running with other people. You can practice being in a race environment, but don't put too much pressure on the time or overall position.
Thanks for that, Steph. I'm going to bring us back with our discussion. Dom, do you think you need a strong mindset to take on hard things, or do you think you build a strong mindset through doing them?
Oh my goodness, that's a great question. Man, I would have to, I want to say both, but I very much believe that you need a strong mindset to get started, right? You need like a dream, a goal to get started. But I do think that like through the process of doing hard things, you get mentally tough and you get a stronger mindset. Like when you can, go out and crush your long run in the rain or something, like you're only stronger and tougher mentally for that.
Yeah, I feel like you've always had that mindset of doing those hard things. But then, as you said, you've always had this like dream, and you must believe that you could do it to take on those things.
I think I was a bit of a crazy kid. Like, I mean, I'm thinking back to, I used to tell myself, if it was like that rainy day that I was out running, I would be like, no one else is running right now, so I'm getting stronger.
But the first time you went running in the rain, you were strong enough to go out running in the rain. So I think it's exactly what you said. It's like the chicken and the egg, and I think you need to be a bit strong to get out there, and then it creates a positive feedback loop where you're reinforcing doing hard things makes you tough, but you need a little bit of toughness from your parents or from something that troubled you to mean that you can jump in at the deep end, I guess. Because if you're too soft at the start, you can't ever start doing hard things to then make you really tough.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
So maybe we didn't even answer the question, but...
Well, we did. We said, no, I think you correctly said that you need to be a bit tough to start.
Yeah.
And then once you've started, it just creates itself.
Yes.
Yeah, well, you talk about this. Like running is always pushing yourself so far that you almost think it's possible, but you have to have that slight belief that you might be able to do it. And that's what keeps you like working away and chipping away at it.
But I think it's not running in general. I think it's like life.
Life, yeah.
Everything in life needs to be really hard or it's boring. But if it's too hard, it's impossible and you can't believe. So it needs to be that like you believe that you can do 2:25 in the marathon, but it's hard. So you almost can't. And that's what keeps you going. And it's a fascinating challenge. And only if you get everything right will you make it there.
Yeah.
And I think like if it was like guaranteed that you'll do it, it'd be so boring that you probably wouldn't even do the hard things to get there. And I think it's like the same whether it's in business or perfecting playing the piano, it needs to be that exact level of hard.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting. It just kind of reminded me. I think that's also probably a reason why I'm still in sport, because nothing really came easy to me as a kid. And I know like people are probably rolling their eyes listening to this, but things did come easily to my sister and she did get bored and she didn't actually take an offer to a scholarship in the US for college. And yeah, I think for her it was like, this is a silly example, but my sister and I did triathlons when we were younger, and we would practice transitions on the street outside our house, like changing from jumping on your bike and getting off it, that type of thing. And oh my goodness, I was so it was so hard for me to be doing that. And for my sister, she would just swing her leg over the bike, first time. It was so easy for her. And I think she did kind of get bored. So I think, finding something that is challenging enough to keep you coming back and wanting to get that best out of you is so important.
It's so funny saying that because I've also never thought about this either. My older brother was the talented, skinny, shaped runner who was just phenomenal as a 13, 14-year-old. He was always setting the records at school.
Yeah.
And then at 16, he probably took a bit of drugs and went off the rails and didn't do it because it was not challenging enough.
Yeah.
And I was the short, fat kid who had the complete opposite genes.
Yeah.
And then I kind of found it because it was a fun challenge and I then got better than he did. And I think it was only then when his younger brother was then better than him that he got back into his running. And now we're pretty neck and neck, and he kind of
so
does
ready.
he did a 34-minute 10K yesterday.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
Yeah.
he's like now got back to it, but
Yeah.
I think it coming naturally and it being easy meant that
Yeah.
it was boring, and he stopped running for 5 years.
Needs to be just hard enough.
Yeah.
So well, my brother's always been like golden boy, like best at everything. And then running, I worked so hard at, and it was the one thing I was like better than him at.
And
That's why I've kept it up.
Yeah.
and has he come back to it now, trying to
He does
prove?
do a bit, yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's good in a way. Like I
Yeah.
think if it was,
You also like want to see results, right? Or progress.
Mm.
Whereas I think, if something was easy and you were like crushing it from the beginning, it's probably going to be harder to see progress.
yeah. If we start average, then there's a lot more
Yeah,
a lot more scope to go. Right, we're going to segue into our this or that's. So you're going for a 5K PB. Would you rather have no time to warm up, you're completely cold at the start line and just got to go out there, or midway through you realize your shoelaces come untied,
Ooh.
and you can either run with untied shoelaces or you've got to stop and do them up?
Ooh. That's hard. I mean, I want to ask, is this track or road? But I won't, because that's just being very specific. I think I'm going to go for shoelace came untied, and I'm going to quickly stop and
Are you to
and
stop?
tie it.
Stop and tie it up.
Yeah. Well, I guess it depends. Like, yeah, if it's irritating me.
2K in.
Okay, 2K in. Yeah, I'm stopping and quickly tying it. On the track, I probably wouldn't. But if I was, I don't know, guys. Man, now you're really making me consider this.
What are you doing, Anya?
I watched Hayden Wild cross one of his finish lines with one shoe on the other day.
One shoe on?
One shoe on. Like he just lost a full shoe. And he was fine.
Wow.
Wow.
Hey, what, so
Did
you're-
he have a super shoe on?
I think he got the shoe on
you're
even.
kicking your shoe off
Yeah.
when the shoelaces come undone.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Wow.
weird. Now that we're like talking about this, maybe I'm going unwarmed up. Like
I'll
just
go unwarmed
cold
up.
turkey.
I think I'm going
Yeah,
unwarmed
yeah,
up as
yeah.
well. You'd be fresher.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you rather race at high altitude or in a high humid conditions?
Oh my goodness. Neither. I've only raced once at high altitude and it did not go well. And I've raced high humidity a few times and it's kind of gone both ways. I'm just gonna ask, how long is this race?
It's your 5K that you've got.
Oh, it's my 5K.
Your 5K, you've warmed up and your shoelaces are done.
Oh my goodness. 5K, I'm going humidity.
And would that change for the marathon?
No, it wouldn't change.
Okay.
Running a marathon at high altitude would be rough. Yeah.
Do you have a preference?
I think humid, yeah, too.
You prefer humid?
Yeah.
Well, you were very strong in Hawaii.
I think I'm quite good in heat.
Yeah.
Been to Dubai. That was a good race. London was hot. That was good. Yeah. What would you do?
I lived in Greece for 2 years.
Yeah.
Got very used to the heat, so I think I'm taking the heat.
Yeah.
I actually had to do all my training for myself in the middle of the day because I would take I ran the fitness
wow.
department at a 5-star hotel, so I
Yeah.
was taking like fitness classes in the morning and in the evening, which is when it was like palatable for the guests.
Yeah.
So if I want to do a long run, it was like in the middle of the day.
Oh my goodness.
And I would have this route. It was like 26K, and I'd run to the nearest village, buy water, which was like 16K in, and then carry on going. And it was like I think got me very used
Talk
to the heat.
about building mental toughness. Oh my goodness.
It does mean that now if it's hot in London, I'm like, oh yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, that's cool.
Cool. Okay, last one.
Yeah.
Snog, marry, avoid. 5,000 meters, 10K, and the half marathon.
Okay, sorry. Snog is kiss.
Yeah.
Marry, obviously, and?
Avoid.
Oh, avoid. Okay, sorry. Say the options again.
So kiss a 5,000. Well, so kiss, marry, avoid.
Yeah.
5,000, 10,000, half marathon.
Ooh, okay. I will marry the half marathon, kiss the 10K. Was it 10K?
Yeah.
And avoid the 5K.
Interesting.
Which of those are you most proud of? Which of your PBs?
Probably the half marathon, 67:32.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So I think your 31-minute 10K is mental.
I'm just like so disappointed I haven't broken the 31-minute barrier, which hopefully I do in a few weeks. I've just come so close so many times. I ran
You're 31 flat.
31 flat,
31.00.
31:00.10.
Wow.
And I only had company for the first 3K of that race, and then I was solo. And then a few months ago, I ran 31:02. And I think both my coach and my husband were like, are you kidding us? Like, we just watched you run 25 laps and you didn't have 2 extra seconds in you. So hopefully I can get it.
Oh, good luck. Final closing question.
Yeah.
If you were to design your dream race, what would the event be?
Okay.
Where would it be? What food and drink is at the finish line? And who would present you with your award?
Okay. I will say, because I've listened to your podcast, I did have a little bit of time to think about this. I'm saying we're definitely in Cape Town. We're running along, not the promenade in Greenpoint, if you guys have been to Cape Town, but like the road adjacent to it. The promenade is cobblestones. I don't like running on cobblestones. So we're running along that road, like along the coast. It's just stunning. And I think we're going to do like an ARB distance, like a 10 miler where everyone gets a PB and no one's like too concerned with pace. This is like a mass event. The food at the end is my favorite, like post run treat is like a slushy or a snow cone, like shaved ice, something like that, where it's like sweet, sweet and refreshing. And what was the other? Oh, like
who would present you with your award?
I think it'd be really fun to get like someone like Kevin Hart out there, and he's just like roasting us, for like saying dumb stuff, like, the award for the person that, wanted to run in 30-degree weather or whatever, and he's just having a good time with it.
Yeah, I'm up for that. Although that sounds hilly. 10 miles along the South African Cape Town coast.
Yeah, maybe we'll do some loops or something, to keep it flat on the promenade area.
Okay.
Wow, that would be that'd be quite the fun one. Come out and do it.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming on, and we wish you like every success in the world.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm sure it's only a matter of time before you get that sub 31 and the 225. I feel like you clearly have an incredible mental resilience, and you're reinforcing it over time. So it's only a matter of time. But thank you so much for coming and joining us. And
thanks,
good luck
guys.
with everything.
Thanks for having me on the podcast.
Today's podcast is powered by Runna. Runna is the #1 rated running coaching service worldwide. And whatever your running goal, whether you're looking to do your first 5K, improve your time over the 10K, or even run a marathon or an ultramarathon, we'll build you the personalized training for you to help you get there and enjoy the process along the way. If you want to download the Runna app, you'll get 2 weeks for free with code podcast25. And if you're already a Runna customer, you can head to the premium offers section where we've got a 15% off discount for you off any of our Runna merchandise.
And if you enjoyed today's episode, please like, share, subscribe. And if you loved it, give us a 5-star rating. And we'll be back next week with another inspiring guest. See you then.